you like to discover go-to-market AI strategies for your company to go global? Jonathan Kvarfordt will tell us how to do that. And what's so special about him is he's an AI and go-to-market strategist, passionate about transforming how businesses harness AI for real impact. With over 15 years in revenue excellence, enablement, and go-to-market acceleration, he has successfully developed and implemented transformative enablement programs for global organizations, Fortune 500 companies, and startups. So, Jonathan, tell us about go-to-market AI strategies.
AI Superwoman podcast with Lily Patrascu shares the world's most innovative AI tools and processes to go from technophobe to AI pro, attract leads, close sales, automate your business, enhance productivity, and deploy AI agents to do your work.
Well, hi, it's good to meet you too, Lily. Thank you very much for having me on the podcast. I appreciate it. The topic of go-to-market strategy is very broad. Anywhere particular you want me to start?
I'm not sure what you would like to focus on in terms of go-to-market AI strategies, but let's tell us anything practical that an entrepreneur could leverage in terms of taking their product to market.
Well, the good news is that there's nothing that's changed as far as like the basic foundational principles of how you go to market. It's really understanding what is the problem you solve, who you're talking to, what are they going through, and knowing the audience so well that you can describe to them better the problem they're experiencing than they can. So the nice thing with AI is that now you can use it as a mechanism to where you can really dive in and have a chat with ChatGPT or whatever the case is, and really dig into the problems of your ICP, because unless you understand the pains and problems from the point of view of them, there's no market strategy I can give you that's going to help you. You got to understand your audience. Once you understand the audience, then it's a different conversation, because then my question to anyone out there would be, where's your audience hanging out, online or in person? Where do they go for answers? Who do they trust in the space as far as opinions and that kind of stuff? And how do you get some of those people who are trusting the space to be on your side too? The other side would be too is that there's this whole other world erupting, which I don't know if you want to talk about or not, is the AI search mechanism, which is a fascinating topic. But there's a lot of people now who are using different AI various tools to find and search for products. So there's a whole other strategy you do for just AI search if you wanted to. But I think it's important to understand that, again, even with AI search, a lot of basic fundamental principles apply, like knowing your audience. What questions will they be asking into an AI? What are the problems they're going through that they'd be even wanting help with? All that stuff needs to happen before you can actually go to market. Does that help, hopefully?
Yes. So, for example, a lot of people have found me through ChatGPT, okay, like my podcast, and I have no idea how this happened. Okay, so
okay.
Hopefully you can guide me so that I have more of a less haphazard approach to being found online. So tell me, what should I be doing as a book publisher and branding strategist to be found in AI searches?
It's a very good question. Okay, I'm just going to talk to you like I talked to you, because otherwise it's going to be too theoretical. So for you as an author and strategist, my question to you would be, do you know what a simple sentence would be that someone would put in saying, ChatGPT, tell me about the top authors in this category, topic, whatever, that can help me with this thing? Is that something they'd ask? Or they'd say, like, tell me about this resource around, I'm going to ask you, Lily, sorry if I make this really specific. What do you strategize? What's your book about, your author?
So I tend to publish other people's books. Like, so I'm a publisher.
Oh, cool.
Thing. And yes, I'm an author.
Oh, you help other people.
Yes.
Got it.
I publish.
So you help push other people's stuff.
And then I get them on stages. And then because they come, let's say, on one of my stages, then a lot of influencers are there. And then they tend to kind of like say, oh, come and speak in France, come and speak in, I don't know, Singapore and US and Dubai and whatever. So just because I make them popular in one place, then they kind of become popular. And also my business partner has a public speaking course where we train them how to speak with confidence and charisma. And that's why every time, let's say, they come on stage, they speak, and they make an impact. And then I kind of give them some pointers about what to wear so they can make an impact as well in terms of the brand they're going to show up with. And a book that can still look like a nice book that people want to read.
Then
And
your
then
product is getting people famous, basically.
yeah, exactly. And then I also look at, let's say if they want to sell properties or they want to get investment, then I look at, okay, who do I know in my network that could potentially help them do that? And I seek to actively make some introductions, hundreds of introductions of suitable clients.
Got it. Well, let's focus on, just for now, the author one just for a second. So if you want to have more business from people who are either wanting to write a book or wanting to speak more, then the question I ask you is, what are the questions that they would be asking around that same topic? And most of the time it'd be something like this. It'd be like, hey, ChatGPT, how do I get a best-selling book? How do I do that? You know? So once you know the questions that someone's asking, which are usually more simple, then you want to reverse that, because what AI does is it tries to understand the sentiment of a human asking the question from a very, very basic question. So it has very little to work with. And it says, okay, based on what the question they're asking, what is the sentiment? What's the information they're trying to get to? And then it tries to map that to the content online that will answer that question the best, because that's what its job is. Its job is to find the best content to answer the question. So if someone's asking how to become a best-selling author, then on your side, what I would suggest doing is having a ton of content around what is the best-selling author, like top 10 things to know about becoming a best-selling author, top 10 ways of making money off of a book, top 10 ways of being able to book your first speaking gig, like anything like that. AI loves buyer's guides or like lists of things, like a top 10, top 5, top 7, whatever you want to do. But you basically take whatever content they're asking in AI and you reverse it and say, how can I make a buyer's guide, a list of items they should know about, the top 10 of whatever on this thing, and make like 4 or 5 of them. So then you become that piece to make sure that you can cover that same topic, and then you start pumping out content just from your blog. We did this at scale. In Momentum, we did the same concept with my own product, and we pumped out 100 articles in a couple of weeks. Which I helped personally write. Obviously, we used AI, but then we humanized all the content and made it really, really good and valuable content. And now we're ranking like crazy on AI because we did the same process. What are people asking? How can we make some valuable content around it, and then just start pumping it out like crazy? Does that make sense?
Thank you. What's the best way to find what people are likely to actually type? Because what I used to use is Google Keyword Planner, and I was also looking in YouTube, and I was like occasionally looking in TubeBuddy as well, or Vidiq. But is there any other better way to find the kind of phrases people might type related to your topic that you want to rank for?
Reddit is a great place to go for this. So you go into whatever community that might have to do with whatever you're talking about, and then just look at the comments, or even like the questions are being asked inside the communities, like around authors or public speaking, or whatever the case is. And you'll see in the comments, like Reddit's a really cool place because like people are very real and sometimes super sarcastic, but there's a lot of genuine questions that people are asking because they're anonymous. They can ask questions they can't ask anywhere else. So say like, I'm super afraid of speaking out loud because of whatever thing that happened in my childhood, or whatever the case is. Like, you'd be surprised how vulnerable people are, and it's a gold mine of information you can have. So if it was me, what I would do is I go into either Reddit, go to YouTube comments, go to anywhere social, anyone who's talking about this, like even other influencers. If there's a competitor in the space to you, Lily, who has a lot of people coming, I would go to the comments of some content that looks like yours and just look at what people are saying. I grab all of them, like take a screenshot of it, throw it in a ChatGPT and say, here's what I want to do. I want to make an AI content strategy around this topic. Here's some comments from Reddit and from YouTube. What are some questions that someone would put into you, AI, based on this content? And it'll give you this list. And you'll go, great. Now that I know this list of prompts, what are some top 10 things I could create in a blog that would answer these questions that you, Mr. AI, would use to answer this question? And we say, here's top 10, this, top 10, this, top 10, this, and then you start writing the content. And you can't just one thing I will say, because I know it's from experience, you can absolutely have AI assist you in writing the content, but if you copy paste in the content from anything from AI for a blog, it's not going to work well. You got to put some authority and brain power behind the blogs, because otherwise it becomes AI slop. And both Google and ChatGPT do not refer to AI slop. They refer to content that's trusted and quality. Does that make sense? So you got to make sure you be willing to take at least 5 minutes to read through this stuff and make sure it's good quality.
Thank you. Yes. So when you say redoing, do you mean like rewriting a lot of big chunks of text to humanize it? Or what do you mean specifically to make it better?
There's a couple of, like, for example, using that same process I just talked about. If you took the screenshots, you had AI say, what are the questions someone would ask in a prompt, and then what content I could make? You could theoretically say, AI, make me now a blog on this thing. More than likely, it's going to give you like a 400 or 500 word thing because it's limited on how many words it can give you in general, which most blogs that perform well are 1,500 to 2,000 words. So you could either do it section by section, have AI write it for you. The problem is that it's lacking the genius inside of your own brain. So if you are an expert in the space and you know your customer, what I would do before you write the blog is just get on ChatGPT or whatever AI and just start talking. Be like, here's what I think is important, blah, 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 blah. And you just kind of talk into the thing, and then let AI structure your unfiltered thoughts into a blog, and that can be used because it's unique to you. Does that make sense? But if you only use what AI gives you, it's going to use the same content. It's going to sound very fluffy. What it's lacking is your genius, your uniqueness, your point of view. And the more you put that in, the more valuable it is, the more unique it is, the more authority it is, which means AI will use it more.
Thank you. Is there anything else you would want entrepreneurs to know about getting found in AI searches?
Oh, goodness gracious. Besides the contents, I would say it's a really good question. You need some way to track it. So I would suggest you use a tool like Peak, Peec.ai, or some of the tools. There's a lot of them out there. I like Peak personally, but there's a lot of them out there. But use a tool like that so you can actually track what's happening in your space, because you can track. Peak works a lot like Google keyword tracker. It's just for prompts. So you can like put in prompts and figure out where am I ranking, what's going on, what content is being used to answer these questions or not. You can see, is my content being used or somebody else's, and what are they doing that I'm not doing? So it's an amazing resource for AI search. It's really hard to improve something you can't see. So you need to see what's going on.
Thank you. What about conversion? Is there any AI tools or strategies that can be used to optimize conversion? So let's say you've already talked to us about the AI, getting found in AI searches. And what can someone do to, let's say, once people land on your website or your whatever it is, that they actually convert into customers? What are the types of processes or strategies or tools to be used there?
Yeah, for me, it's not starting with tools. It's starting with value. And I mean that generally speaking, that people don't convert from a lead to a customer because you had an AI product. They don't do that. They do it because you gave them trust and value inside the conversation or process. Like, for example, with Momentum, we have a 200 plus prompt library. I have a ton of people who opt into that because they want to get the prompts. That is valuable for them to be able to access. When they then do that in the newsletter, all I do is just give them access to value, like a free webinar, more prompts, insights to different things. I'm not trying to sell them. I'm being top of mind, but I'm giving them as much value as I can because they know their problems. Does that make sense? And I always have a button that says, hey, you want to have a demo in every single one. And every single newsletter, I have 10 to 15 people who are opting in to get a demo from us, but I'm not. My goal is to deliver value to them as much as possible. It's not to use AI to convert them. If I have an AI technology that I think would be valuable for them, yes, I will use it. But it's not about saying, hey, you have an AI, come use this, because I don't think people don't convert because it's AI. People convert because it solves a problem, it's valuable for them.
Thank you. So what's the best way to turn a customer who has opted in, for example, into a customer that is a paying customer for your services? Because it sounds like that's the strategy that you use.
Besides what I just said?
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, how do I convert someone from a free lead to a customer besides what I just said? Is that right? I think it's really making sure it's clear on, it's just like any other problem out there. Like, why is this the problem that they should solve now? If you can't communicate that in some way, shape, or form, you're not going to win them over. Because everyone you, Lily, have tons of problems you have as a business person yourself. You're looking for help on. You have all these problems. So which one's the top of mind for you? And how do I make you see and feel that what I can solve for you is the thing you need to buy right now? Because if I can't do that, it's not going to work, right? So if I do that through a lot of different ways, by showing customer stories of saying, this customer who had this problem, who should look just like you, Lily, or whoever your customer is, they had this problem. Here's what they did. Here's what they did as a result. Here's the consequences they had, right? In a good way. That just shows social proof. Or you have some way of saying, okay, hey, you don't know how, I'll be really specific. Let's just say, as an author, there's some new technology that comes out, and you as an author or an expert author who helps people getting public speaking, you know that this one technology can dramatically either greatly influence them in a good way or negative. But you speak to them and saying, I'm not going to talk to you about technology. I'm going to talk to you about the consequences of not doing this technology. And then you say, the reason why you need this is because of this, and this. And this is the value of why you want to do this, and this. Because if you can't communicate that, then why would they change? Why would they change anything? It comes down to human behavior. There's the pain of change and there's the pain of staying the same. You've got to be able to convince someone why they should change and buy something. That pain is less than staying the same. Otherwise, they're not going to move.
Thank you. Tell us some AI transformations you did for companies and what kind of tools or strategies you leveraged and what result did they lead towards?
Oh, gosh, there's a lot of those. There's several different levels of transformation. Most companies, because they already have something existing, start with time optimization. So there's that one level where all it is about making sure you can save and be as productive as possible, right? The other level is when you're kind of building something from scratch. So if someone's listening as an entrepreneur and doing it on your own, I would build your processes around AI because then you can become much faster versus the old way. And you can like literally recreate. In AI, there's two different worlds of transformation. The one side is, how do we do what we're doing now better, faster, easier, cheaper, whatever? Or the other side is, how do I do this totally different? How do I recreate this? How do I reinvent what I'm doing based on first principles? So most people, again, will be looking at how do I save time, which is a totally fine way to start. And I have a lot of stories of what it could be like. In fact, momentum is one of those things where that's all we do is we enter in data to a CRM for a sales rep so they don't have to. We bring automatic emails after the call so they don't have to. It's all this piddly-do stuff that someone has to do that transforms their way of being, because then they can focus on the customer and not on the data entry stuff. That's one example of many. On the other side is thinking about, okay, what if we could reinvent the entire process, what would that be like? What would the experience be like where I have an AI take someone through a discovery call without a human being involved? And what would that look like? How can I create that experience that's amazing? So I don't know if that answers your question, but like AI transformations can get really nitty gritty really quickly, but it all comes down to what are we trying to get to? What's the metric we're trying to move? And how do we let AI be a very core part of that?
Thank you. What about for companies where they have ultra high ticket clients, influencers, celebrities, people that generally you kind of need to handle yourself, at least you feel like you have to. Is there anything that can be done in terms of AI transformations that will allow you to kind of like leverage your expertise or your, something that you are doing in a way that you're duplicating, cloning yourself? Can you use AI agents for anything in terms of like dealing with ultra elevated clients that normally you have to like speak with yourself?
Well, I guess the question would be are they paying to speak to you personally? Because if your business is set up to where you are the product, then that's going to be really difficult to do personally. However, if you're setting up a business to where they're getting an outcome and not necessarily you, that's a different conversation. So again, if you're selling someone your time to experience you, like Tony Robbins, if I was paying for Tony Robbins to speak to Tony Robbins, I would not pay for an AI agent because I'm paying for Tony Robbins. Does that make sense? However, if I'm paying for a result that Tony Robbins as an entity can deliver to me, whether it's through an AI or not, I don't care. So it's really figuring out with your products, what is the value you're delivering to people, and is your time the key thing that you need to do? Personally, I'm in a space where I try to leverage my time to where I don't do a lot of one-on-one stuff because it's not always, I don't have time for it. So I do a lot of either group coaching or I do a lot of on-demand type of content. But again, if your model, I'm going to talk to people who maybe like yourself are high-end, work with high-end individuals. People usually have big influencers, that kind of stuff. They want and desperately need the human communication and the human connection. So my thing to you or anyone listening would be like, you need to augment your customer-facing time. So that's literally all you do, and everything outside of customer-facing time is automated like crazy. Because current state probably is that you or anybody else working with high influence or network people can only handle, I don't know, let's just say, for example, 15 hours of customer-facing time right now because you have all the other 35 hours of stuff you have to do. What I would do is automate the crap out of the 35 hours that you're not talking to people and get more clients you can talk to, and then AI take care of everything else. You're augmenting you as a human instead of replacing you. So to me, it's really understanding where can I use AI to replace a product or income stream, and where do I need to be, and how do I augment myself as much as possible so that I can spend more time doing what only I can do.
Thank you. Let's take the example of, let's say I'm trying to sell, like, let's say an event sponsorship ticket, which is very expensive. Okay, like 50K, 100K, sure, and so on. And I'm wondering, do you find any way to use AI in order to automate that process of speaking, or portraying the information to the kind of like elevated clients that I'm talking about? Or let's say similarly, people who are looking for investment from investors, or people who are looking for, let's say they have like a property deal, which is, I don't know, 50 million, I don't know, 2 million, whatever it is. And generally they would have to speak to a person. Do you see any way that AI could be leveraged in a way to, compress time and get more done? Because, and the reason I ask you this is because I saw, for example, I think it was in Portugal, there was a company, a property sales company that I think sold 100 million only with AI. So I'm wondering, like, what can be done to kind of like use AI to deal with elevated clients?
It depends on what experience you want to create. And I don't know the company you're talking about in Portugal. I mean, I heard a company's doing something similar, so I can't talk to that. But you can literally automate the entire conversation of sales through AI right now, all of it. The question is that the experience your customers want? And if so, then great, have fun and go for it. But I guess that's the question. So you, as an example, you could already right now use Clay to make Clayagents, and then use them to automatically outreach to people in whatever niche you're talking about. What doesn't matter if it's public speaking, real estate, doesn't matter. And you could automatically have them reach out to that person, personalize it, and send out emails and blast everybody. Now, the problem with that is that AI can do a decent job of personalization, but because we have so much of that going on right now, people are looking for more human touch, more than ever. So I think we're in a place of shifting right now, because the place in Portugal you're talking about, I'm glad they did an amazing job of that. You can totally do that right now using voice agents to have like some automatic thing, reach out to people, have like a virtual guide, use AI voices, do stuff. Like, you can automate the crap out of the entire process. The question is that what your clientele wants? Which again goes back down to the very basic question is, do you know your ICP? Because right now, and to be fair, we don't know as buyers and humans, we don't know how we like talking to an AI. Like Lily, I could have, if I wanted to, sent my AI agent to this podcast instead of me. Would you have liked that? I don't know. We're not going to know that until you experience it. So the same question relies on humans. Does someone want to buy real estate through an AI-driven process? Maybe, but I don't know. So it's like, you have to be willing to take the risk of saying, we're going to try and experiment and see if people like this or not. If it performs well, great. If it doesn't, we got to be ready to shift. Because what happens too often is that people try to go all into AI and it hurts them in the wrong way. Like, I've seen too many companies who like the team in Portugal think that's going to create all this revenue, and instead it creates a lot of problems. So it's just, again, being very, very aware and careful and planning on what does my audience want, and does the AI give them the outcome they're looking for or not? And being willing to augment yourself or replace yourself when needed.
Thank you. Let's say that you're not going to automate the actual conversation with the customer. What other areas could be automated if you're dealing with elevated clients?
It depends on your workflows. So
imagine someone who is like making 100 million per year. Okay. And you're kind of like talking to these kind of people every day, which I am. What area of the business would you actually automate, and with what in terms of AI?
It's a really good question, but it all depends on what you're doing, because AI depends on personalized workflow customization. So my question to you would be, tell me what you're doing when you're not talking to those $100 million people. What are you doing? Is you reaching out to people? Are you scheduling things? Like, what the heck are you doing? Because, like, as an example, here's an example what you could do. You have a half-hour conversation with a $100 million client. They say yes, they want to buy into whatever the heck you're selling them. So everything that happens after that point, after the call, can be automated. You can have an AI that recognizes you said, hey, I'm going to send you an offer and this proposal, whatever the case might be. And the AI could literally create the proposal and automatically put it into your email ready for you to send when you're ready. It could also send up the next calendar invite. So here's like saying, hey, let's meet next Tuesday on this time. The AI can hear that, create a calendar invite the person to it, automatically done. Like, there's all these things it can do just from your conversation. Like, we're doing that now with Momentum. This is exactly what we do. But Momentum sadly doesn't work for people like yourself, because you probably don't have Salesforce. But there are other tools like Mind Studio or Zapier or N8N. There's other technology that works right now that everything you do after the phone call can be automatically done. All of it. It's just taking the time to understand, have you mapped your workflow? what is the tech and technology used to do each step of your workflow, and then connecting AI to all of it so you can make sure it moves through the process for you, and then you can just focus on the $100 million clients individually.
Thank you. Now imagine that I have like a template message or email that I send to everyone. And I find actually that doesn't work at all because most people just don't read it. And the other thing I find is that, for example, some people are investors, but they're looking for more investment because they have, let's say, big project they are looking for 5 million or 10 million, whatever amount for. Then there are people who are looking to invest. Then there are people who are just looking to connect with other high-end individuals. And let's say the email contains all that information that you can get, by coming to the event, you will get this and that and the other, basically everything. But what I found is that if, let's say, you are an investor who's looking to invest and you're not looking to seek investment, if I was to put in that email first to say, like, you can get investment, then you could automatically feel switched off and say, oh, I'm not looking for investment, right? Because you would think, oh, Lily didn't understand what I told her. So is there a way to customize the email based on, let's say, knowing what the person actually wants? And if so, how do you even tell an AI or a CRM what to kind of take notes on to know and kind of like to customize for that specific client?
It's a great question. The one problem is I have to go. We're past time.
Okay. So
yeah.
We'll think of it in my dream and imagine it. Okay. Thank you so much. Tell us where entrepreneurs can connect with you.
LinkedIn's the best place. So I'll send you my LinkedIn, and that's the best place to get me. I give a lot of free stuff away. So if you want to, get me there.
Follow me for more AI productivity tools.